Hi, this is Jenny Black. Today I wanted to show you a fun and easy way to do some watercoloring with just using a few markers and your Stazon ink, a little tub of water, and your paint brushes. So it's going to be nice and quick and easy. I like this technique because I can't really draw, but this is a fun way that I can get the watercolor look without having to draw. So what I have here is a couple water-based markers. You can use any brand that you want. I have some Tim Holtz Distress markers. I have some Marvy La Plume and some regular Marvy brushes. I think I have a couple Stampin' Up! Markers in here, so you can use any water-based markers that you want to use. In order to get the ink into a paint form, what I do is I just take the marker itself and scribble it onto a non-porous surface. So this is just a little white tile from Home Depot, just a plain little tile, or you can use an acrylic block. You can use the top of an ink pad, the plastic part. You can use just about anything that you want that's non-porous. So that's one way that you can get the ink. Another way you can get ink or paint is to take one of your water-based ink pads. This one here is Bahama Blue by Momento, and I'm going to just put it onto my palette like that, and now I have a lot of paint to paint with. So that's a couple different ways that you can do it. Another way that you can do it is to take a water-based ink pad and you just squish it, and now you're going to get some ink in the lid, and you can just scoop that up with your paintbrush and you can paint with that. So that's another way that you can get some paint from your water-based ink sources. So today what I'm going to use is Stazon ink. It's not water-based, it's a solvent-based ink, and it's waterproof. So I'm going to use this today. Normally what I've been using in most of my classes is a water-based ink. I like this one here. I also like the Momento. I've been using this in most of my classes, and you can see in these that when I stamp and I touch it with the ink, the painting ink, I dilute the edge of my image a little bit. I was okay, and I wanted that soft look in these images here. You can see how I just colored in, but I have that nice soft edge, not real crisp and bold. And so I like this look, but that's not the look that I'm going for today. So today I want this nice and bold look. You can see that the black line is still there, and that is what I want. So this is the one that we're going to do today, and let's get started. So what I did is I went ahead and I jump-started this little technique by stamping my watercolor paper with Stazon ink. This stamp is by Impression Obsession. It's called Butterfly Flowers H9226. So that is what the image is. I really like it. It's very friendly for watercoloring. They have quite a few stamps now too. This one here is kind of fun. I did this one. That's also by Impression Obsession. So let's get started. I already stamped it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a couple pins, and I have two pink pins. Let's see what I have. I have bubblegum pink and I have magenta. I'm also going to pull out this one here, which is orchid. So I have three pins that I'm going to use. You don't need all three, but since I have them, I'm going to go ahead and use them. I'm not going to need this yet, so I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. And so I'm not the best artist. I cannot draw. So I like things that make my images look pretty without me having to draw. So I'm just adding in some color. I'm leaving some white area. Watercolor, you want to leave some white color in your images. I have a tendency to over color things. Here's my little trusty wipey, because you don't want it too wet, otherwise you're going to have ink everywhere. And you just kind of soften the ink. If you go outside the lines a little bit, that's okay. Sometimes that even makes it look better. That's okay. So I'm just dabbing on each of these just to pretty much soften. I got too much water right here. I have my little baby wipe that's pretty dry, and I'm just going to dab it on there, and it soaks off the excess water. So you don't want to do that too many times, but you can do it a few times. So there is my flowers. They're all done, and so really I don't have to do anything else to them unless I want to put some opaque white in it, which I will do after it dries. So now we're going to jump over to the green, and this here is my favorite green marker, Jungle Green. I need a new one. I've ordered one. It just has not gotten here yet, but it still has some ink in it, so I'm going to scribble it on here. And then I'm going to take some olive green, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of that in here. You can see it's not technical, I'm just scribbling it on here. And now I'm going to take a little bit of water and smooth that out. Again, if you go outside the lines, that's part of the beauty of watercolor. It's no big deal. In fact, sometimes I go outside the lines on purpose. So there is my leaf. So now I'm going to take this brown, it's sepia brown, it's one of my favorites, and I'm just going to add a little bit onto my stem here. I could have done this with green, but I chose to do it with brown. If I wanted smaller lines, I could have used the other end of my pen, which is a much finer tip, and I could have just got these little tiny pieces. But I'm okay with going outside the lines, so I used the other end. If you want, you can even add a little bit of brown into your leaf, just for a little bit of fun. But you're going to have to re-wet that. I could have added a little bit more brown. So I'm going to dip into here. I have some sepia scribbled onto my palette, and I'm going to add some brown down in here just because I want a little bit more color. Okay, there we go. So there's my leaf. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do my background. The background, what I like to do is use something bright and bold, and so I'm going to use this blue, this Bahama blue by Momento. I like this one, and I'm going to use a lot of water. So you can see I'm diluting it down a lot because it's so intense. And now I'm just going to scribble it on here. Again, you don't have to be precise. Just get some ink on your paper, smear it around. You can see how nice and fast this technique is. I call it cheating watercolor. You don't even have to put this down in here. If you would rather, you could just take some pink and go in between the flowers, and that's also pretty. But I'm one of those ones that likes the blue in between all my flower petals. And you would just continue going on and on like that until you're done, and then you're going to have something that looks like this. Here's another one that I did with purples, and I did that orange background. Sometimes it's fun to do a contrasting color to kind of pop the flowers out, so I like to do something totally opposite of the color that I'm coloring my flowers with. I'll show you one more little quick thing on here. You could use a white gel pen at this point, and you could take and you could just put a little bit in the center of each of your flowers. But I find with most gel pens that it absorbs some of the ink, and then it's just a pale pink by the time that you get it on there. Here I have some opaque white by Copic. Mine was all dried up and crusty, but I added a little bit of water to it and I revived it. So I was pretty happy about that. And so it's just a thick paste, and I'm just going to stick a toothpick down in there. Mine's a little bit too thin because I thinned it out too much, but I'm just going to put a little white dot on. Whoops, that's a big white dot. One thing about this is once it's on there, you can't really get it off. So I have a white flower. So you can just continue until you're done with that, and then you will have again, something that looks like this. And so that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's quick and easy watercoloring with your markers or with ink pads. I use Stazon ink as my stamping ink because it's waterproof. If you want a softer look, you can use a water-based ink like your Distressed ink or your Memento ink. So have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.